Wassail Beautiful People. It's Capricorn. Didn't want to get here. Because if ever there's a sign where you don't want to kind of bring up the dark side, it's Capricorn. Because do you know what? They're a load of old gangsters and they'll come out and they'll shoot me down. Also, I just did Sagittarius and the sun came out. It's been raining all morning and I've just sat in your energy and dark clouds have rolled in across the sky. So, Capricorn. Look, I always think you're a sign that's very, misunderstood. But I am going to try bring out some clarifications and I know you're not going to like it. Let's do some really calming, beautiful bells. I misfired entirely and I know you won't when you load your guns. You're scaring me, Capricorn. Oh my god. I ain't afraid of no ghosts. They're putting Ghostbusters in my head. I'm gonna start again. There's something strange in the neighbourhood. It's Capricorn. It's like you don't want to be here. I know I don't. Right, it was soft and then it grew and then it got soft again. It was like being spied on. It was it's like you've just done something a bit naughty or I've just done something a bit naughty and Capricorn saw me. And they're aghast and they're waiting for their revenge. Admit it, you love revenge and it doesn't matter how long it takes, you love it. So, who's your ruler? Don't all shout you are, yourselves. It's Saturn. And Saturn can be a troubled bunny, depending on the mood Saturn's in. But then I feel that's very much the energy of Capricorn. Depends what mood you're in. So, I need a bit more water. I feel like you've parched me out already. Your cardinal earth. And you're often associated with better the devil you know than the devil you don't. She's just a devil woman. Yeah. And that's something which you embrace, but it frightens others of certain ideologies. So Saturn, restrictive time. And that's why I think you don't mind waiting on a little bit of cold revenge. Time doesn't bother you. So Saturn is the lower heart. And there's something about this thing that we forget all the time with Capricorn, which is Capricorn is half goat, half fish. And it's become quite often just goat and been associated with cloven-hooved devilness. But we need to remember, for me, one of the most important things is Aphrodite's chariot is pulled by mergoats. And so there's something about Aphrodite being Venus, being the higher heart chakra, being led into the world by the lower heart chakra of Capricorn. So for me, there's an energy within you that's the completion of love but starting from the wrong end of it, starting from a more complicated frequency somehow. So it's F, whereas Venus is F sharp. And it's, as I say, it's the natural world. And it's interesting because it's earth. And yet it comes from out of the sea. You emerge pulling a chariot towards the earth in many ways. So there's something about this transformative energy that's, it's kind of like a backwards mutability. That's what they're saying to me in my head. You know, your cardinal, your first thoughts, and yet somehow your first thoughts is get out of the water and get on the land. It'll be safer. Even though you got fishtail. So, there's an energy, I think, what they're saying, is that you come in with a frequency of confusion. And actually, one of your words, one of your darkness words, really sums it up in the most beautiful way. It's my favourite of all the words. So I'm actually going to begin with that. So we're dealing with 4 energy frequencies. Oh no, we're doing. Stop bewitching me. We need your healing note. F of Saturn. Grumpy old man. Actually, you see, that's the other thing that they're saying. That's why I haven't got there. Aphrodite is born when Jupiter, his son, because Saturn eats all of his children, he consumes them because he doesn't want any of them to outgrow him. And they give him a boulder to eat instead of Jupiter. Jupiter grows up, and Jupiter eventually cuts off Saturn's genitals, throws them in the sea, and Aphrodite is born. And you pull her chariot. There's something about that energy of coming from a love trauma, making it somehow harder for you to accept. So you're ploughing your energies slightly in a wrong direction. But it's a direction you're meant to go in. That's why you were born here. But they're in my head, they're saying it's a kind of misnomer pathway that you're meant to go down. A cul-de-sac, spiritually. So, Saturn, Kronos, time, the natural world, the lower heart. There's an energy of that being so profoundly powerful to you that you could use that frequency of cardinal earth to drown out others. That's interesting. Sip of water. So, are you prepared for your dark side? I mean, I know Scorpio enjoyed theirs. And I do think that Capricorn secretly enjoys theirs, but we'll see what comes out. I'm going to read you a list of words, and they're your shadows. But there's something about these shadows that I know you love. So, first of all, Capricorn, you're rude. Just end off. You're rude. You're intolerant. That cardinal energy in you makes you so intolerant. And you get consumed by things. You don't care what anybody else says. And then you're cantankerous. You are. But this is my favourite one, because this is the one I think best sums up so many of the attributes. You're Janus-faced, two-faced. But Janus being the god that looks both forwards and backwards, from the primordial soup of time, before time, controlling time. You are Janus-faced. And I think that's one you should enjoy owning. You also are Judas kiss. You will betray anybody if it suits you. And that's an uncomfortable energy for me, but for you, it might feel just so beautiful. And then you're hellborn. You were born from hell. But you see, now for me, hellborn, because I love the goddess Hel, and I have an ancestral name which is Hel-Lison, which is the son of Hell. So I get that one because I think hell is a misunderstood place that carries enormous power. So anyway, let's have a look. I've spat water from my moustache all over the screen of my iPad. Let's move the bells a bit further back to give me a bit more space. I feel like that's another part of your energy. It's like you clear everything out because you need space to think. And if other people are in the way, it's not suffering fools gladly. But I heard a beautiful line this morning, which is, there's a lot of idiots in the world, but it doesn't do to tell them. Psyche. You begin with psyche. What is your psyche? Where are you? Where's your soul most at home? In hell. Hopefully the cards will let us know. Psyche. Oh, aqua vita. In the waters of life. That's alcohol. You're most at home drunk. It's about moderation. That's a really interesting frequency because that is... There's an energy that you'll see later when we get to your gifts. You've got Dark Moon Lilith. There's a darkness within you that you need to moderate. And yet your soul is so at home in that darkness. We got one down on the floor now. That's the first one. Pisces. This is an energy of manipulation. This is an energy of dark witchcraft. Oh, I don't know that I want to go on with this one. The comments are not going to be comfortable. Be nice. And palace. This is like a warning for me. It's like, careful now. You need to negotiate with wisdom. You're dealing with the dark witches of the zodiac, the Capricorns. Look, Capricorn is a very interesting frequency because it's ruled by restrictions, but it's a powerful energy because Saturn's a very ancient, time-structured god. And it does link into that Janus, seeing the future, seeing the past, and understanding the placement of it. And there are people born in, I think, the Saturn and Jupiter conjunctions that took place. Actually, I need to look that up. Something's coming to my mind that I don't actually know the answer. Sorry, the page has just jumped away from Scorpio. I will need to look this up, but there's a generation of people who are probably around late 20s, early 30s, who have a big, heavy lineup inside Capricorn. And yet, I think that the Saturn and Jupiter conjunction that they were born following was the one that was in Libra, the one that was out of place. It's the millennial generation, and yet there's almost like to be the kind of opposite energy to counterbalance that frequency of being this sign born in a earth epoch, but in an air energy, an air conjunction, the 1981, that brought in something new that needed as a counterbalance a heavy amount of weight in cardinal earth, because there's something about the power of that generation to change the earth, that then their cardinal air that they have as their conjunction needs the power and the weight of this witchcraft, because they've got to deal with a world that doesn't want to change. Because remember, following them was the generation, the Zoomers generation. They were born from after 2000. They're the ones that come in with that energy of, again, a fixed Earth conjunction, the final one. And they will move because they haven't lived long enough in the old energy. The energy for them has been a bit screwed up by what's been coming when we had the Great Mutation. But this is definitely talking about that. It's talking about you have to be there's so much dark, vengeful energy available to you in your soul's home, in your psyche, that you have to moderate your frequencies. You have to action to be careful. This is the energy of House 9, travel, and your House 10, status. Your status is arising, but you've got to move there through moderation, through caution. You've got to be careful that you don't become the dangerous remedy with this. I mean, this is I've not seen this as a combination before, but it's dark witchery, dark witchcraft, dark sorcery. And you need to, I know I laughed and joked, it was saying it was me negotiating with you. This is you negotiating with your frequencies, the energies that you have, because you know you can manipulate and create and conjure and will people to do things, and if they don't do it, you will just literally, you'll be rude. You'll find any means to stab at the person. The Judas kiss frequency, and it's an amazing frequency, but you've got to know how to use it. You've got to be able to control these darknesses. Capricorn, scary. So, you don't scare me though. What's your nice side? Oh, there isn't one. You're making my nose run. So, what are the energies of your higher consciousness that can bring calm to these shadows so that you act in moderation? Ethanol, alcohol, this aqua vita, the waters of life are not, they're saying, are not to bewitch. They're not to charm. They're not to use the magic of glamour, but to actually moderate your behavior. So, it's interesting. I've been very conscious on this one in choosing words that link to certain things. So the energies that calm you, the energies that bring that moderation, the energies that you use to still that consumed energy that you have, begins with the word hellbent. And that's in a different way. It's still bringing in that frequency of being hell-born, but now it's being hell-bent, understanding the power of that frequency, of that dark magic, and how to use it to bend it to a more satisfactory conclusion than just being consumed with it and being cantankerous. And then you have daredevil. You are the daredevils. You will dare to do things that others wouldn't. Because your shadows back you up. You're like, don't mess with me, because I'll curse you. You are also commonsensical, which is another word I absolutely love. Pragmatic, steely, and more than any other sign, you are self-sufficient. You don't need no one. Do you know what? You can all bog off, because Capricorn can handle this. So, let's have a look at these energies. They still feel very strongly, well, just powerful. They're just powerful frequencies. And as I say, there's that generation. Oh, spillage. You can't magic all the cards out. I felt like there was something that spun, but it must have double spun. So there's a huge. First of all, I'm getting two cards. I have to hold them that way so that you can see them. I'm getting opposition, which is 180 degrees, and I'm getting Gemini, which is also this stretched polarity. It's like there's a tension. There's always a tension between your dark and your light. It's like you don't want or feel a need to resolve it. Your dark is an extreme safety valve. And it's about fixing, Gemini is, in terms of alchemy, is the fixation process. It's when things are changed at a molecular level. So the energy I'm getting for this is that you need somehow to not fix a change within your shadows. Excuse me, I burped, which means it's a truth, and it was something I didn't want to say because I'm getting a message that I feel like I don't want to tell you. So if you fix a balance fully, Capricorn, between your light and a dark, it will wound you. It will disempower you. You need to not allow your light to shade your shadows. That doesn't make sense. Well, it does. You mustn't let your light dissolve your shadows. They're showing me Queen of the Night, the star blazing queen now. Der Sternflammenden Königin, the star blazing queen. She, at the end of the opera, the light burns and dissolves her away. You are not allowed to do that. Your psyche is to maintain your shadows. You're born of hell, that notion. You're born of the underworld. You're born of a cardinal earth. Open the earth. See inside the earth. It's an ugly place. You know that. That's why you're pragmatic. That's why you're commonsensical. And if you bring out the light too much, it's almost why you kind of almost hide your emotions. Because there's something about the end that's again about Pisces is water, but this is that energy of emotional manipulation. So you've got that power within you, and you're ending here with Jupiter and the moon. It's like you have to remain a big secret. That's what I'm being given. Remain a big secret. So we've now got this cluster in the sound healing cards. We've got the F of your frequency, your ruler, Saturn. You've got the B flat of the nervous system. You've got the A, a semitone down of the moon, and then you've got the G, a tone down. There's this kind of energy of a nervousness that you can't allow to wound you, and that's why you maintain your shadows. This Chiron wound, it's almost like, so weird. It's like you're the one willing to attempt to kill Chiron, the wounded healer that can't die. There's a part of you, they're just saying, just die, won't you? It's like you're not going to accept this frequency. You're not going to wound yourself for the sake of losing shadows. And you're going to keep your shadows very separate to your light. You're not trying to integrate them. You're appreciating what one thing is and what the other thing is, and all the space in between. The giant mystery between those two frequencies. So let's have a look at the balanced energy that you're not wanting. So your balanced energies, and I'm guessing that what we're going to say here is, it's not that they're the balanced energies, it's when you've allowed the opposition, when you've allowed the tension, within the tension you're creating a kind of energetic space for this. And it's interesting because your subconscious wisdom feels very different to other people's. It's unceremonious. What's the point in a ceremony? Just get on with it. That pragmatism that's part of your light frequency. And then you're very industrious. You can work harder than anybody because you get consumed. And if you sort of drop the dark, the weight of your shadows, you won't be as consumed and as hard working. You're also very savvy. That's a really important word. Savvy, wholehearted. You mean it. You mean it. You really mean it. And if people can't see it, then they can fuck off. You know, you're just gonna be rude. And you're ripe. You're ready within your space energy. And it doesn't matter whether other people are catching up with you. It's really interesting because actually now that I look at your gifts, because I channel a lot of the words when I'm doing this as I dig around, and they were odd, but now they seem right. I'm not saying you don't want to gift people things. I'm just saying that there's something very different about Capricorn. So, for me, this is obviously it's boil. It's it's death, sex, taxes. It's also it's an energy of like an inherited wealth that never materialized. It's like what they're showing me is this shadows and light, the frequency line, and you can have all of this or the other way around, shadows and light. But the point is, it's at this point here that is your energetic truth. You're keeping the energies, the scalding emotions are being kept separate so that you can live your life fully in the space between the light and the dark. And you're like, I ain't coming out there. This is really fascinating. You've got this card, Salt, is roving. It's moving. It's fixed modality. It's like you know how to materialize things. You know that you have to open that space between worlds. Thoughts have to be there and they have to be fixed to be materialized. You have to change them. But this card's also being told to go at the end of this section because the next thing you've got is purify. And this is house 10. This is to rot something away, to polish, to separate, to ferment, to change. It's part of the frequency of Capricorn to understand what's necessary and what's not. That's that salt of the earth energy, that pragmatism. And yet, as this card came out, I was just hearing, you are kidding, aren't you? Because it's like, you're saying, if I purify, if I resolve all my darknesses and give up my status. Give up my status. I'm just going to become like that passive sensitivity of Moon in Pisces. I'm not interested. I'm not going to go there. I'm not doing it. It's a real call of I'm not engaging in that frequency. And this card comes back at the end. I can materialize what I need. I don't need to purify to materialize. I don't need to do that. My pragmatism remains, and that's my gift. Understanding the power of I'm older magic, but darker magic. It's ending with this compose. House 3. Thoughts. You are cardinal. You are thoughts. You create thoughts. There's something about this. They're showing me this circle and how this is part of it, but it's not the whole story. You can leave behind one side of the light or the dark, and you can bring in and hook in a new frequency. If you desire it, you can bring it in, but you can't bring it in if you've let go of the enormous power that your ruler Saturn and Capricorn as a frequency has over a form of ancient magic. That's how it's coming across. So, what are your gifts that you're not interested in in sharing with anyone? Necessity. It's not so much, I feel like your gifts are necessary in themselves, but your gifts are harder for others to want to accept. So necessity, stricture. What do you really need, and what are you just saying you need because you're a greedy tosser, is what you're saying to people. What do you want me to teach you how to materialize that you don't need? It's wasteful. So your stricture, diligence, earnestness, that truthfulness that people see as rude. Ideologies. You create ideologies. But that doesn't mean people want them, but you know them. That's why you stand alone. And tenacity. You can teach people that you can stand in the stocks and have whatever shit you like thrown at you, and you're like, it don't matter, because I'm going to use my dark wizardry and you're all going to suffer for this. Not quite what I mean, but that energy is within you. That power is within you to stand up and wait cautiously forever for your, well, for revenge, but you know, in many ways the people that have pilloried you, it's not that you brought the revenge, they brought it on themselves. It's just that you seem to have this energy to just whirlwind it out and push it forwards. Right, so okay, so it begins your gift section with take and rust, retrograde and calcify. It's like, there's something about, this is just a warning from you to others. It's gifting others with this notion. And you're saying to them, I'm cardinal. I'm forward thinking. I've got new ideas and gifts. Whether they listen or not doesn't matter, but you're saying to them, if you don't stop looking backwards to a kind of misty-eyed golden age, you're going to calcify, you're going to get covered in rust, and you are digging your own grave. You know that. You're not digging your own grave, you're moving forwards. And there's something about patinas, the process of aging. It's like growing a patina that's living rather than a patina that's dying. Now, the next thing you have is Chariklo trine Juno. So the enforcer of boundaries around relationships to bring you at ease. That's what you're trying to teach people, is how to be around others. You know, if it ain't working for you, you're just going to tell them. But other people have got to learn that there's something graceful in earnestness because it's truthful. So this is a really lovely energy where Juno's very much got Queen of Heaven, Queen of the Night energies. It's like an ability within you to gracefully enforce boundaries around what you perceive as toxic and just going, no, move over, I'm not having this. And that's a gift. But for most others, it's wounding. But not for you. You're trying to teach people to be more pragmatic. There's another word I want that was on here. To be more self-sufficient, to be more commonsensical, to be more savvy, to be more wholehearted in their truths rather than pretending. You're being truthful, you're being earnest, you're being tenacious. And that's, I think, why you get pilloried so much. That's lovely. Interesting. Very, very interesting, Capricorn. Thank you. Just want to say, everyone, watch out. Don't fluff with a Capricorn. I have to say there was a real energy of powerful dark witchcraft. It's nice to see that in the cards, actually, to see how these cards can bring out that energy. So thank you, Capricorn, for bringing your uniqueness. Oh, I also just want to say the Janus-faced energy, that two-faced energy frequency, that comes very much from the fact that you're half goat, half mer creature, half fish. It's about being able to understand more than most because you're assigned cardinal earth and you're denied the water somehow. And yet you seek to get out of the water a lot because the emotions are what actually confuse so many people, and you have a cardinal clarity around that. Anyway, that's you, Capricorn, my beautiful favourite sign.